Moriarty reached out, and with a vice-like grip covered Holmes's weapon and hand. "I shall help you." Moriarty pushed on the trigger, and the weapon fired. Moriarty grabbed his chest, staggered back, and slumped against the cabin wall. "Holmes," said Moriarty, "look at me." Moriarty winked, then laughed as he removed his hand from his chest. "You are unharmed?" asked Holmes, looking from Moriarty back to the handgun. "What does your logic suggest to you? That your weapon is loaded with blanks?" And even as Moriarty spoke, his teeth seemed to elongate. Behind him, the pale moonlight carved eerie shadows on the glistening snow through the doorway. The wind picked up a trifle and scattered snowflakes through the cabin. They swirled around Moriarty, imbuing him with a ghastly and unearthly demeanour. Moriarty moved towards Holmes with blinding speed. He snatched the gun from Holmes. The movement was faster than Holmes had ever witnessed or could even follow. He thought of such a creature loose in the world, and was aghast. Holmes threw himself to the floor, twisting to avoid the impact of the shot, then sprang to Moriarty's throat and slammed into the cabin wall. Moriarty had anticipated the counterattack and had moved instantly to where Holmes had been. Holmes felt like a fool. There had not even been a shot fired. Moriarty's reflexes and speed were 100 times what his were. "I can't resist," said Moriarty, and with that he placed the muzzle of the weapon against his temple and pulled the trigger before Holmes could react. Brain matter and bone splattered on the wall beside Moriarty's head. As Holmes watched with horrified fascination, the terrible wound in Moriarty's head grew together and healed itself in less than 10 seconds. If Holmes had not smelled the gunpowder, he might have assumed he was having a nightmare. Moriarty gave a short bow. "So what says your logic?" "You have succeeded. You are a vampire." "End of lightness, well into the meld." Holmes frowned. "You don't understand, do you? Until a vampire reaches the meld, he does not have true powers. If I had not gained my powers, I would never have agreed to meet you here." "You required time to develop?" "Yes, and now I have eternity, and I'm asking you one more time. Serve me." "Never." As though he were demonstrating how to tie a shoelace to a 6-year-old, Moriarty moved to 5 places in the room with such speed that it was impossible to see him move, only arrive at the destination. "Nothing can harm me, not even the silver bullets from your gun." "I have heard a silver dagger could kill you," said Holmes. "True." And with that, Holmes drew a glistening dagger from his boot and plunged it into Moriarty's heart. Their eyes locked. "But only during the lightness. I am immune." And with that, Moriarty snapped Holmes's arm as though it were a stick. The detective screamed in pain. Moriarty plucked the knife from his heart and hurled it at the cabin wall, where it embedded itself to the hilt. Holmes staggered to his feet. Moriarty took Holmes in his arms, embraced him, and then sunk glistening fangs into the detective's neck. Holmes kicked and fought, but to no avail. Moriarty bit harder, and Holmes screamed with pain. This seemed only to amuse the vampire. Holmes fought valiantly for a few more moments, but then lapsed into unconsciousness, and his knees gave way. Moriarty continued to suckle his blood, sinking to the floor with Holmes cradled in his arms. Outside, the snow was falling lightly again, and the falls cried in the background, and their roar blended with the gurgling sounds issuing from inside the cabin as Moriarty drained the crimson life force from Sherlock Holmes. Holmes knew he would die, but if the poison worked, so would Moriarty.